Hi again. Let's talk about the penis. So, first slide. Some basic anatomy. I've already gone over a little bit of this. There is the foreskin or the prepuce, not shown well in this diagram, but it sort of covers the glands of the penis. It's retracted during erection. And there are 3 columns of spongy erectile tissue that can become engorged with blood. So this is, both views are a flaccid, non-erect view of the penis. And in cross-section, there are 2 of these corpora cavernosa. So again, corpora is plural, as is cavernosa. One of those would be a single corpus cavernosum. So not a big deal. But those are the corpora cavernosa. There are 2 of them, dorsal and parallel each other. And there's a good blood supply. There's a deep dorsal vein. There are several dorsal arteries. And then there is also the corpus sponginosum. So this is ventral and medial between the 2 corpora cavernosa. It also is erectile and has the urethra passing through the center of it. So that portion of the urethra is referred to as a spongy urethra. Okay, so the next slide looks at the non-flaccid or the erect penis. And I thought it would be interesting to go through this and talk a little bit about how the penis becomes erect. I think it's interesting, and I think you ought to know about it. So it's under parasympathetic control. So it's under, it starts with control by the nervous system. So erotic thoughts, erotic images, or tactile stimulation gets the parasympathetic nerves activated. And those nerves that then travel to arteries of the penis, those release the neurotransmitter nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a gas. It's similar to nitrous oxide, not the same thing though. Nitric oxide. And it's a gas, and it has a very short half-life, so it's been very difficult to study. And it wasn't known to be acting as a neurotransmitter for quite some time. But at any rate, those parasympathetic nerves to the arteries release nitric oxide, and the nitric oxide then starts a second messenger cell signaling inside the cell. And either in 160 or 241, you probably looked at several second messenger systems. They involved adenylate cyclase and protein kinase A, just some different pieces of the second messenger system. So a second messenger system like that is involved with these arteries, and what that does is it causes those arteries to relax. The smooth muscle relaxes. So this is vascular smooth muscle. So they vasodilate. And that sends more blood into this erectile tissue, and the penis becomes engorged with blood, and then it becomes erect. Okay. And then as that blood fills the spongy tissue, as it becomes engorged with blood, as it swells, it compresses the veins. So here are the veins, of course. So these veins are compressed, and that blocks the exit. Veins compress, and that restricts the drainage of the blood. And that maintains the erection. So the nitric oxide vasodilates the arteries, the penis becomes engorged with blood, it becomes erect, and in that erect form, it compresses the veins of the penis, these sort of superficial veins. Those are compressed and the blood can't flow out, so it's sort of locked in the penis, and that maintains the erection. Okay, so drug companies, more or less by accident, they are testing a drug for another condition. They're testing a drug to see if it would cause dilation of coronary arteries to be used as a treatment for preventing heart attacks. Well, they had the drug and they tested it and it was a bust. It did not reduce the incidence of heart attack. But when they called off the double-blind experiment and asked for the drugs to be returned, they had been using, in that study, all males. And when they asked for the drugs to be sent back at the end of the study, because they were calling it off, they had a very difficult time collecting the drugs. The men didn't want to return the drugs. And for the heart study, a little further investigation, they found out that, well, it increased erections, and the men loved it. So, that was the start of Viagra and a multi-billion-dollar business. So, how does Viagra work? And most of those other ED or erectile dysfunction drugs work in a similar way. So, normally, the nitric oxide is destroyed by an enzyme. It's a very short-lived gas, short half-life. So normally it's destroyed by this enzyme called phosphodiesterase, or PDE, and there's several different types of it, so they just call it phosphodiesterase number 5. Just a particular enzyme occurs naturally. And the drug, Viagra and other ED drugs that work similar, inhibit the phosphodiesterase. Therefore, nitric oxide continues to cause vasodilation, and away you go. So, I think that's interesting, and it'd be nice if you could remember the basic story. So, write that out in bullet form on normal erection of the penis and the role of nitric oxide, and then talk about the drug. And just list it in simple bullets, more or less as I have it on this slide, and you should be okay. And that is it for this section. The last part of the male reproductive system that we'll look at will be hormonal regulation. So we'll do that next.